welcome to everyone. It looks like we have no attendees in the gallery, so we will move on and enjoy each other's company without the gallery this evening. However, I do need to advise that it is council policy to record the proceedings of meetings of council on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussion of meetings is available. This audio recording is authorised by the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2025. I would also like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Tomagina people, and to pay our respect to those that have passed before us, their history and their culture. Item 1 is record of attendance. Moving on to item 2, confirmation of minutes of previous ordinary council meeting. The recommendation before you, councillors, is that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of Waratah Wynyard Council held at Council Chambers on Monday the 21st of July 2025, a copy of which, having been previously circulated to councillors prior to the meeting, be confirmed as a true and correct record. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Roberts has moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Sorry, who was the seconder? Councillor Johnson. Are there any corrections to the minutes, because they must be identified and agreed to at this point prior to taking a vote to adopt the minutes? So you've all read the minutes of the previous meeting? Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Declarations of interest. Item 3, councillor and agenda item. Are there any declarations of interest at this point?
Yeah, I can't
Councillor
find the
Highland.
the number. Have you got it there? I think it's in the General Manager's report.
The grants to...
Grants.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be 9.10.
Right.
9.10. Thank you for advising us that. Any further councillors that have a declaration of interest this evening? No. Staff, any declarations of interest? Okay, so moving on. Councillors' announcements and report. 4.1, announcements by the Mayor. I have none this meeting. Mayor's communication. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, that council notes the Mayor's communications. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Highland, could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Deputy Mayor Edwards. Is there anything there in that list of communications that anyone wishes clarification on, or? No, if not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 4.3, reports by delegates. None have been received. Item 4.4, notification of council workshops. The recommendation is that council notes the following workshops. On the 4th of August, we had presentation by Just Cats organisation, and on the 11th, we discussed the Sisters Beach Foreshore Management Plan, renaming streets, Boat Harbour Beach Surf Life Saving Project update and watershed update. Could I have a mover for Councillor Roberts? Could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Councillor Johnson. Are there any questions or queries regarding the workshops or comments that need to be made at this point in time? Councillor Johnson.
I think our Just Cats presentation was excellent, and food for thought for everyone.
It was very thorough.
Yeah, really
Thank you for
enjoyed
that. If that could be noted, please. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Moving on to item 5, public questions and statements. 5.1 brings us to the public questions taken on notice from the previous meeting. 5.2.1, Mr. Polson rabbits on Somerset Esplanade. There is an officer's response there. And we're moving on to 5.3, public questions without notice. We have no one in the gallery to ask a public question and no statements. Moving on then to item 6, planning authorities. There are no planning items on this agenda this evening. Item 7, matters raised by councillors. 7.1, responses to questions taken on notice from the previous meeting. Councillor Courtney, working with vulnerable people cards for councillors, the question and the officer's response. 7.1.2, Councillor Courtney's solar panel programs with a question and the officer's response. Councillor Courtney, health and wellbeing support for Braddon, a question with the officer's response. 7.1.4, Councillor Raw social and community activation panel, a question and response. And Councillor Raw biodegradable plastic bags for FOGO bins, the question and the officer's response to that question. And 7.1.6, Councillor Highland spillage incident on Bass Highway with your question and the officer's response. There have been no questions received in writing. Are there any councillor questions without notice this evening, please?
I'll make a statement if that's all right.
At the
Am I allowed to?
just a moment, we'll go for the questions. Thank you very much.
Do that afterwards.
Yes, I will. Councillor questions without notice. Who had their hand up?
Yeah,
Councillor Johnson.
just one question there. I was just wondering if council can provide a update when the online booking system's going to happen for the basketball centre or the community centre, just to allow everyone for access. If there's anything happening to that, because it was brought up here probably 4 months ago that there was working towards an online system.
Okay, so our officer's response.
Through you, Mayor. We have that on our capital program this for this financial year to be looking at, and we've started looking at the scope of what that might look like with the community team. So it will be happening within this financial year, and we've got some budget there for that to look at.
Right.
Yep.
So that'll be up and running.
Definitely before the end of the financial year, but we don't have a time frame yet of the scope of what that would look like.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. And thank you, Councillor Johnson. Are there any further questions in this? Councillor Bramage.
Just a little one. Are we still on track to have a workshop on the section of train line in Somerset? From that section of train line we talked about, it's still there in Somerset.
Yes.
Are we still on track to have a workshop on that?
Through you, Mayor, we haven't scheduled one yet, but we certainly can.
Yeah, please, because I've got a few good ideas. Well, I reckon they're good ideas.
Thank you.
I
For
know my
that.
colleague over there is pretty keen too. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Are there any further questions in this section, please? Okay, Councillor Roberts, you have a statement.
I do have a statement, actually. I quite often credit the staff, obviously, for the amazing job they do. But in looking at the matters raised by the councillors tonight on the agenda, I just actually want to commend my fellow councillors for the broad range of different social programs, initiatives, recreational, also just things down to environmental health. Honestly, just showing the public that this group of people that are in these positions do actually work together to get word from the street to the chambers and into the office. And I always do credit the staff, but I do want to credit the councillors because of the things that have been raised lately, the things that have been addressed, the things that have been brought to workshop, some of the things that have been voted through lately I see have great social benefit to our community, and I actually really would like to put it on record that especially lately I've seen the benefit of a lot of the good work of these councillors, and I think that they deserve credit as well. So that's all I'm saying.
Thank you for that commendation, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further statements from councillors this evening? If not, we'll move on to item 8, the notice of motion, and I ask Deputy Mayor Edwards to take my place. All right.
Okay, we have a motion there for 8.1 from Mayor Dunyam, Australasian Local Government Management Challenge.
The motion is, councillors, that council congratulates the Guttridge Guardian staff team, the 2025 winners of the Australasian Local Government Management Challenge. So I've put that motion.
Seconded.
Thank you. Would you like to talk to the motion?
I think that we've got some fairly comprehensive information there about this year's challenge, and I do understand that during the competition that our team just did a wonderful job despite just using butcher's paper and sticky notes, whereas some of the more experienced professional teams had lights and you name it, whatever else they needed. So really every single one of those participants under Sally's guidance, they should be congratulated for the efforts that they put in. My understanding is also that they were training for about 5 months, one afternoon a week, so they deserve to actually get that accolade. The other thing is too, when we consider that it is an Australasian competition, in other words, New Zealand and Australia, haven't we done well? So let's get that news out there. I have to say at this point that I am disappointed that the Advocate gave us about 1.5 lines in the newspaper, despite that I'd sent them the whole article about them with a photograph. However, let's get it out there amongst ourselves and let everyone know just how great our team is at our council.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Oh, definitely the second sentiment. So I think it's fantastic that our local little rural community is not just a Tasmanian team, it's a local little rural Tasmanian team. So talk about punching above your weight. Well done. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, well,
Councillor Brundage.
thank God for the butchers.
No, well done. I think we've entered quite a few of those over the years, haven't we? Like, well, it's different types of whatever they do. But no, that's certainly a big one to tie under your belt for sure.
Any other speakers?
I
Councillor Roberts.
want to credit Sally Moore-Wood for the work she has done with that team. For a smaller council, we win a surprising amount of awards. Not that we don't provide quality work, but it's actually that in comparison to much bigger, more well-resourced entities, we can compete with anyone. I already believe truly that we are the best in the country, and I think we might have to extend that over to New Zealand as well. So I just really, every time you do these things, it helps actually promote our region and the quality of work that is happening in our region. And when people like yourself move to our region to work in our region, Sally, you really bring a lot of value to our region, and I thank you greatly.
And I don't need to close the debate because there hasn't been debate, but I will comment on Councillor Roberts' comment. Yes, we are the best team in Australasia.
We can say that for a fact.
So I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Here.
Carried unanimously.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Edwards. So moving on to 8.2, we have a motion proposed by Councillor Courtney. So do you wish to put forward your motion, Councillor Courtney?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the motion for tonight is on the Public Interest Disclosure Act. We've brought it to a workshop, so I'm hoping that it goes rather smoothly tonight because there's no impost on council. The motion is that council submits a notice of motion for the next convenient Local Government Association of Tasmania meeting, and that it be LGAT advocates to the Tasmanian State Government in support of a review of Tasmania's Public Interest Disclosure Act from 2002 to strengthen the Act to ensure that the services provided to our communities are not impaired due to ineffective protections or prospective whistleblowers. So,
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. We need a seconder to this motion.
I'll second it.
Councillor Roberts, so Councillor Courtney.
so it's fairly basic. Corruption in Australia costs about 3 to 4% of GDP. For Tasmania, that would be an awful lot of money. We've had in the past high-profile whistleblowers in Tasmania that have had to leave the state after whistleblowing, and I just think if they're putting their life and their jobs on the line to report corruption and things like that, that we shouldn't have to have a situation where our whistleblowers not only aren't protected, but they are that harassed that they have to leave the state of Tasmania, because obviously what they're doing they believe is in the best interest of their communities. I would note that a couple of the things that came out was that there is a review of the Federal Act at the moment, and the report is due out at the end of August. That will likely only cover federal employees, and I think that given that review is being done at a federal level and the report's being presented at the end of August, it's timely for Tasmania to review theirs when we haven't done it in 20 years ourselves. And that 60% of serious mental health injuries in Tasmania are work-related, related to either bullying, harassment or work pressures, and that PTSD claims have doubled over the past 10 years. 86% of Tasmanians support whistleblower protections, and you can see the statistics on mental health, and you can see the statistics on the income loss or the gross income loss for the state when corruption is allowed to go on without whistleblowers being protected. So I would ask that the state of Tasmania review that. There's a new government coming in, and that we as leaders, protecting the members of our community and protecting the whistleblowers who protect them, advocate to local government to just do a review of the Act and see if it's fit for purpose, and consider some of the things that have been raised over the past 20 years where there have been failures of the legislation. So I'd appreciate it if we could send it to local government to push for a review of the Act. I don't think that's unreasonable, and I'm hoping that my fellow councillors support that.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further speakers to this motion, please? Are there any speakers against? Oh, sorry.
Can I ask a
You can
question
ask a question.
through you to Councillor Courtney, please? Councillor Courtney, who would the target whistleblowers usually be in these situations?
Who would the target for whistleblowers usually
Yeah,
be?
like who are they or what area normally?
Yeah, okay. So normally whistleblowers are public servants, largely. In private enterprise, you're protected under the Fair Work Act, but in Tasmania, if you're a state servant, you're more likely to be the whistleblower, and that's what those legislations are for. And normally they're state servants that have witnessed corruption, misconduct or serious crime. And they report that so that it can be dealt with internally rather than going to court proceedings, because that's very costly on the public. So they look to their managers to do the right thing, and when their managers don't do the right thing or their ministers don't do the right thing, they go to the public integrity bodies and ask for whistleblower protection so that what they've reported, they can not fear from reprisal for what they've reported. Good governance.
Thank you for your response. Are there any further, Councillor Roberts?
Just to follow actually up on that too, that a lot of the investigations and reviews into stuff like corrections in this state, youth justice, etc., aged care, the public health system, nearly every single one of those changes has been instigated by a whistleblower, where, say, for example, in our youth justice sector is actually someone that spoke out about how certain inmates were treated, etc., that has made the government come to a decision to even close down a certain facility. So there's stuff that goes on that without the staff members actually coming forward. And imagine going into a job and being told that this is the expectation of the job, only to discover things probably aren't how they're meant to be, and then when you go and try and do the right thing and report on it, only be punished. I know a lot of people that have suffered from stuff like this, and I think traditionally, and it's an archaic system of sweeping things under the rug, and I think we'd have to be very, very naive to believe that these things don't happen. And I'm happy to say on record, I've seen stuff myself. So it's a culture that needs to go. It needs to be a thing of the past. And the number one expectation on all government is transparency. And I think that us supporting this shows our own people in our community, many of whom are workers, many of whom work in the actual government sector, whether it be education or healthcare, that we actually support the worker and their rights to come forward and talk about things that might not be right in the institutions they work for. So, yep, support the worker, 100%.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Rawl.
Yeah, I've just got three questions through you and hoping someone can answer them so I can make an informed decision. So my first question is, what percentage of whistleblowers use the anonymous option, which is stated there, or at best remain anonymous until the decision has been made that it's going to be a protected disclosure or not? So I'm just interested in, how much that anonymous, state that you can ask for, how many people use that, and why they might not use it.
Would you like to answer that?
No, I would not have a statistic on how many people do it anonymously, but I know why people would do it anonymously because, as I just went through, whistleblowers in Tasmania have had to leave the state. So often they lose their jobs, and that's why a lot of the time they will be anonymous. But anonymous means that there's no way to follow up. So anonymous also means that if the assessment doesn't get reviewed or it doesn't get done under legislation, it's required within 45 days. There's been cases where it's taken up to 6 years to do that review. So if you're anonymous, then you don't know whether that review's been done. So there's no way for you to tell that that action has been taken after you've reported that misconduct or crime.
Yeah. And the second question then, if it's illegal to be targeted, and they state the 4 or 5 ways that it's illegal to be targeted if you are a whistleblower, and you do blow the whistle, why don't whistleblowers follow it up through the police and things like that? If it is illegal, I would have thought you'd move straight to that if you lost your job or if you were harassed at work or, any number of things that can happen. Yeah.
Again? Okay, so that's actually one of the reasons, Councillor Raw, that I've asked for a review of the Act. Under the Act, as it sits, your review for an assessment for whistleblower protection is within 45 days. So if a state department or a minister says, yes, you're entitled to protection, then you automatically get protection. Yeah. But what's happening is, as I say, there was an instance where 6 years it took to do that assessment. So for 6 years, that employee can be targeted until that assessment is done. And under the current legislation, if that assessment isn't done, there's actually no way to penalise the manager or the minister that doesn't do the assessment. So there's no enforcement. So if there's just no assessment done, there's no way to enforce it. If there's no assessment done, then the whistleblower doesn't get labelled as having a public interest disclosure. And if they don't get a public interest disclosure finding, they don't get protection.
No, I know.
So there's absolutely nothing that you can do if you don't get classed as a whistleblower, which you can't do if you don't have an assessment, and there's no legislation to enforce that assessment.
Yeah, but wouldn't if it's illegal and you've made that your whistleblower thing has gone in or whatever, wouldn't that, by going to the police and things like that, that would be discussed?
This is a further question.
Yes, it is. All right. Okay. So I won't ask the further question then. Okay, thank you. And my third question is, the detrimental actions are described as illegal, and as I said before, there are a few examples of that. So is that a legal state or statement? Is that just from management or fellow workers, or does it go to the press and the public as well, that harassing a person who's made a disclosure, is that illegal for the press to do that, and public or whatever?
There was a few questions in there, so could you just go back to the beginning of it, because the press I'll deal with separately.
Well, if it's decided that a detrimental action has happened because a person has been a whistleblower, can you just call that on management, say in your job, or fellow workers or people that are in the service or wherever you work, or are press and the public also not able to do anything that would hurt that whistleblower because it's illegal as well? Is it only illegal in your workplace, or is it illegal in the press and Facebook or whatever? Yeah.
So through you, Madam Mayor, it's not illegal if you haven't had an assessment, and it's not illegal if you haven't got protection. So you can be bullied and harassed, and nothing can be done about it unless you go to the governing bodies, but without whistleblower protection, that reprisal is not covered because you haven't had the assessment, so it hasn't been deemed a public interest disclosure. So you could report a crime, And if it's not investigated, it would be another crime to harass the whistleblower for reporting the crime, but only if the assessment is done. So there's a lot of intricacies around it, but basically without an assessment, yes, it's illegal, but it can't be deemed illegal, and you can't do anything about that breach of legislation, unless you're classed a whistleblower.
Okay.
Are you finished, Councillor Raw?
Well, the only last one, the cases that have been mentioned in the printout that we've got, the cases that have left the state, has that been proven that it was management or whoever that were harassing those people, or was it press? Can you put that harassment down to any particular area, or is it broad, totally broad?
Well, through you. Well, both of them have been in the press. So both have come forward and said that it was management that actually they suffered reprisal from reporting it. Yeah, and one of them has written a book about it. So I would certainly suspect if it was defamation or slander, he would have been sued up the razoo by now.
Okay. Thank you. They're my 4 questions.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Councillor Roberts?
I'm just going to actually, through you, Mayor, in response to this, once you get to this level of funding, you know, whether you're talking about the healthcare system or whatever, and when state's in charge of it, it's different departments are in charge of different responsibilities of the public. So you might ask, say for example, you're a whistleblower and you're reporting on state government, and your question is, why don't you go to the police? Well, the police are state government. So it's like the same people that run that department that you're dobbing on are the same people that are meant to protect you. Right? So anything that happens under state government's direct watch, state government is liable for it. So what you're reliant on is that state government will do the right thing there, Councillor Raw. Now, I need you to think about that for a second. And I'm not alluding anything, but I would say that perhaps maybe that what Councillor Courtney is asking for is actually a very wise and prudent thing that we should be asking for to protect the workers in our
Thank you for
region.
your comments, Councillor Raw. You've spoken twice, so which is against the rules, so
I
you need to
appreciate
remember
it.
that.
I appreciate it.
I've been lenient this
Thank
evening.
you. I appreciate it.
Councillor Hyland?
Yeah, I'm balancing a bit, but look, the fear that I've got, if you go to the local government association with a motion with not enough beef, if you like, or guts in the thing and detail, like going back a year or two, councils, particularly our size councils, when you're sitting in on those meetings, anything political, they tend not to show any interest at all because they're looking after their own little dunghill, their own community, and a big percentage of them would not even bother reading it. They just put a pin through it. And if you're fair dinkum, I'm just wondering, a little bit extra work, in particular, the amount of industries we've got in this northwest corner, whether or not it's worth a survey or like trying to gather some sort of confidence or info, if you like, I don't know what the word is, whether they would support, like there's any support out there for that. Well, go to the unions, get all that support that you can get, because I tell you, it's going to be a hell of a battle to try and get over the line. And to go with that bit extra information, and I don't even know, like just a question. Because at the moment, we've got you with the idea, and you want to put it forward, you're passionate about it. I don't know, that's what I feel at this stage. I sort of wouldn't like to head down there and then just get my ass kicked, and for the fact that I've probably only got it half done. But anyway, that's your choice.
Thank you for your comments, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further speakers? Deputy Mayor Edwards?
Yeah, I just want to say firstly, not with this motion, but well done on the debate that we're all having around the table tonight. It's really good, and that we're all listening. So for me, I feel I'm happy to support this motion at the moment, especially if it hasn't been looked at or had a few adjustments since 2002. We probably need to move with the time, but listening to Councillor Hyland, I understand what he's trying to put across with the motion. So if Legat firstly accept the motion to then take take it to the vote of the 28 councils, and if accepted, but I will note, as a local government municipal area, we have policies in place to protect whistleblowers. But yes, I understand, yes, your passion and your history around this.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Johnson.
Just clarification on whistleblowing. Does it have to be a state or government employee, or can it be anyone be able to whistleblow? Or I'm sitting on the fence at the moment because I fully don't understand. If a non-employee is seeing the wrongdoing by an employee, staff or anything like that, have they got the right to say, well, I think these people are doing wrong, can you investigate it? And is that person protected as a whistleblower? So I might have thrown a can of worms in the air, but I'm just not totally understanding, and I'm just putting it out there. So I'm just sitting on the fence at the moment. Yeah. So.
Response.
Yeah, is that, could you,
Absolutely. So anybody can go to the Integrity Commission or the Ombudsman and report, but it is largely state service that use the whistleblower legislation. But the problem is that obviously 20 years old and the legislation has no way to enforce an assessment. So you can't even get an assessment on what you've reported if the department that you're reporting on and to doesn't agree to investigate itself. So then if you're a private enterprise government, it wouldn't matter. You go to the Integrity Commission or the Ombudsman and you ask them for protection from reprisal. But yeah, it has to be a crime under the current legislation. So it has to be serious. It has to be quite serious for you to get whistleblower protection. But if there's no assessment, you don't get it. So it's available to everybody to go to the regulators and ask for it. But no assessment, you don't get it. Yeah. And if it doesn't reach a certain level of seriousness under the same department that you're reporting on, if they decide it's not serious, again, you don't get protection under the current legislation. So largely it's often that you just don't get it under the current legislation, anybody. And that's why I think it's a good time for a review.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any speakers against the motion? No, I've actually spoken. Councillor Bramage, have you spoken?
No, I've been pretty quiet tonight,
You have. Would
so I
you
might
like
just
to
change a few things now and be noisy. Can I speak?
Please do.
Yeah, look, I'm quite happy to support the motion. I guess Councillor Courtney's very passionate about this. We can tell that, we can see that, we know that. I guess that's her decision whether she wants to do more work or get more information before it goes to the LGAT or not. Councillor Ireland's probably right. Let's hope he's wrong. Because I haven't got a lot of faith in the LGAT, to be quite honest. Things are getting a bit hard for them. They push it away. But I say good on you for what you want to do. And I think that I'm more than happy to support this motion going to them. And I guess then it's up to you whether you want to get more information or whatever, but I'm happy to go with what we got tonight. Thank you.
Councillor Bramage, do you wish to respond to Councillor Bramage?
I would actually like to say thank you very much to all my fellow councillors tonight that have asked good questions and raised, good points. I'm very appreciative of the way that the debate's gone tonight. It's been very pleasant, which is great because this is quite a serious matter. So I appreciate the fact that we're acknowledging the seriousness of what the legislation is and that the review is required. I particularly appreciate what you've said, Councillor Roberts, about the fact that it is about good governance, and that's purely what it is. I hear your concerns, Councillor Hyland, that you don't feel there's enough in there. I do hear that, and I do understand where you're coming from. However, when the public are polled, 86% of people want whistleblower protections. So largely out in the populace, people do want those protections because they don't want the corruption, the government corruption. So I'm hoping that there is enough in there, and certainly if we get knocked back and the local government decide not to take it on, I'll see if I can pursue other avenues. But hopefully local government do see the value in it and that we haven't done it in 20 years, and we can at least have a review of it. So thank you to everybody tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney, and I haven't spoken yet.
Oh.
And I will say that these are my observations, not necessarily am I endeavouring to be negative in any sense, but I guess it's my researcher's brain that works a little bit around what you have presented. And I do thank you for proposing this motion and for providing the detailed examples. It is a full bit of information that you have provided us with, and I think that it does exemplify the drive for change, which is what you are endeavouring to do. I've got 3 points, and I said while all examples provided are reliable and valid in the context of the discussion, including reference to WorkSafe Tasmania statistics, which show 1 in 10 injuries are mental health related, and the number of PTSD claims has more than doubled over 10 years. Workplace-related harassment and or work bullying and work pressure are the most significant causes of work-related mental health issues and account for over 60% of serious mental health claims in Tasmania. So I'm only reiterating what is actually in your document. It is significant to note that these statistics do not designate the ratio between private and public sector. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure whether we can get those statistics between the two sectors. While I accept that such data may not be available, and noting that local government in Tasmania is a key part of the public sector, to support the argument, I would still have liked to see strong, valid and reliable evidence that relates to the local government sector in Tasmania, or at least the wider public sector, which would have supported this motion. The motion requests that Waratah Wynyard Council submits a notice of motion for the next convenient Legat meeting in the hope of that a majority of councils in Tasmania will support advocacy by Legat for review of that state act. However, without data demonstrating a direct impact on local government, I'm not sure that Legat or other member councils will view this motion as lying within its purview. And that's a fact. They're going to look at it and say, where does it impact on us? It's not a criticism. My 3rd point is to remind councillors of our own role in ensuring that council staff are adequately protected in speaking up, and that our role is to ensure that appropriate policies and procedures are in place as adopted by council, which I believe we do have. It should be noted also that all councils in Tasmania will also have adopted the appropriate policies and procedures to ensure fair and equitable treatment of all employees in their council. And if you wish to respond to anything that I have said, Councillor Courtney. No.
I absolutely agree with what you've said. And not a problem with all with the fact that you've raised that the statistics are rather hard to gather. And I completely understand. I believe that it is a local government role though, because we have such a huge amount of public servants in our municipalities that rely on this legislation. And while our local government legislation is there, it can't be upheld if the state legislation doesn't reinforce it, can't do the assessment. So while as councils we do the right thing, when those employees that are in bad councils need to go outside of them, that legislation is reliant on this particular act. So even our own local government employees would come under that state act, which is, back to, we need it to be fit for purpose for our employees as well.
Thank you for that, and thank you all for a very good discussion this evening. If there are no more comments, questions, otherwise, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to have to call a division. Okay, so got 2 up the end.
6 and then
2. Okay, I'm going to call a division. So those in favour, put your hands up, please. So Deputy Mayor Edwards, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Those against, please put your hands. Councillor Raw and Councillor Hyland. The motion is passed.
Thank you, councillors.
So we'll leave it at that. Thank you for a very good step around that.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 9, reports of officers and committees. Councillor vision statement. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. The council adopts a vision statement reflecting councillors' commitment to working as a team. And our vision statement actually does state we work side by side with our community, listening honestly, acting with fairness and leading with courage. We believe in supporting each other and making practical decisions that reflect local needs. With kindness and teamwork, we are here to build trust, tackle challenges together, and create a community where everyone feels heard, respected, and included. Through responsible economic management and a focus on regional development, we are strengthening opportunities and investing in a sustainable future for all residents' resilience and well-being. So the recommendation is that Council adopts a vision statement reflecting councillors' commitment to working as a team on behalf of the community. Could I have a mover for this motion, please? Deputy Mayor Edwards is, Councillor Roberts seconded. Deputy Mayor Edwards, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yeah, we haven't adopted the councillor vision statement yet, but the past recommendation that we just did, or motion with Councillor Courtney, it just showed that we listened around the table, we acted with fairness and with kindness and teamwork. We are here to build trust, tackle challenges together, and that was a challenge to listen to everybody and feel heard, respected and included. So even though there was a divide, everybody around the table was able to be heard. So I think our time wasn't wasted when we did our 2-day workshop with the DATNA group. So, and I think we're doing well with this.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Are there any further speakers to this vision statement?
Well, just again, I want to credit our CEO, Vanessa Adams, and the management team for the focus on the team building dynamics since Vanessa's come in as a CEO. And again, while I do think we work relatively quite well together already, I do think we've seen some progress in this time in this space, and it just shows that we are, no matter what our views are, no matter what our backgrounds are, we are all working together in commonality towards a brighter future for our region. And as much as that seems like a tagline, it isn't, and we've just seen that. And I think we're recognising certain things that are very important to councillors that sit at this table, and that we're all trying to understand together the importance of everything that affects this region. So credit to everyone, and happy to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts, and I do thank all those who attended those 2 days, whose contribution brought about this vision statement, which is really a very positive move on the part of our council to demonstrate that these are the things that we will do. Are there any further speakers to Councillor Raw?
Yeah, look, I'd just like to say that I really did enjoy the process and really enjoyed being able to come together with other councillors and actually be put through some really quite deep challenges that we went through. And I really respected looking at the data that came in about myself and thinking about that data and actually thinking about, well, how can I contribute in a better, well, I might say better way, but a different way in some aspects. So I'm just very thankful that I had that opportunity to be able to reflect on myself and how I work and make sure that I'm up there doing the best I can. So that was all right. It was a great process. Yeah.
Thank you for your positive words. Are there any further speakers to this motion, please? Councillor Bramage.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to accept the vision statement as it is. And I was a bit wary about the 2-day workshop. I thought, geez, I'm not into this stuff. But I did go and I did enjoy it. I did. Learned a fair bit. We actually learned a lot. And we're all different. And that is good. If we're all the same, we'd be a shit council.
I agree with you.
That's why we're a good council, because we're all different. And that's what I like about it. We all come from different backgrounds and think differently. And the last debate we had here raised our standards a hell of a lot.
Agree.
And I think we just gotta, what was the saying?
Blue, pink, blue.
Call blue, look blue, or something like that. Is that what? Yeah, well, that's why I bought this. They didn't throw darts at me. Think blue, that's it. But I'm more than happy, and I'm pleased we're all different, to be quite honest. And I think that's what makes us pretty good.
Okay, thank you, councillor.
Thank you.
By the way, it's blue if you're a bad boy.
Sorry, I said shit, councillor.
There's three.
That line.
All right, you can put some money in the jar. Thank you, councillor Bromwich. Are there any further comments, councillor Johnson?
I'll just piggyback on Councillor Bramidge's back. Yeah, fantastic 2 days. Our little course we ran, we found out a lot about each other and a lot about ourselves, which was you know, it really opened up, which was really good, and it gives us, you know, a really good background moving into the next year. So yeah, no, we'll be better for it, I think.
I nearly thought I was too old to learn.
There you go, never too old to learn again.
Never.
Never.
Lifelong learning.
Yeah, thank you.
We're not going to talk about age here at all.
Okay.
Councillor Bromwich, thank you very much. Are there any further comments about our vision statement and the appropriateness of our behaviour? You're all happy about that? Okay, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Will provide an evidence-based long-term direction for the planning and implementation of wellbeing initiatives that will improve outcomes for the whole community. And that goes for both communities. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Rule.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to just say something about, it came up in the feedback, and it was nice to have that feedback there in the document that we got. But I noticed that there were two around the broadness of the markers, and that's a sort of a passion, well, not a passion of mine, a question of mine too from me, but I know, so we'll watch these broad markers and see how they're reported on and how that does help us work towards better outcomes through this. But anyway, I think it is reported back to us annually, so it'll be interesting to be able to refer to those markers, and so, you know, wait with interest to see how they go.
Thank you for bringing that up. Are there any further speakers about this community wellbeing plan? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. 9.3, the quarterly report, infrastructure and development services. The recommendation before you, councillors, is that council notes the quarterly information report for the Infrastructure and Development Services Department as at the 31st of July 2025. Could I have a mover for that motion? Councillor Roberts is moving that motion. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Johnson has seconded. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this recommendation?
Just quickly, like again, I say this every time, I highly recommend the public read these, but I just want to say something to the public that the total dogs registration renewal notices sent out in July was 2,217 and the total number of dogs currently registered by the end of July is 1,206. So I think we've got about 1,000 unregistered dogs out there. So if I was the public, I'd probably jump onto that pretty quick. So there we go. Thanks, guys.
Probably apart from those dog owners who haven't paid.
Yeah. I'm just trying to encourage them to get onto that. So.
Are there any further speakers to this report, please? No further speakers. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. 9.4, the Central Area Development Strategies Annual Progress Update. The recommendation before you, council, is that council notes the progress of the projects recommended under the Central Area Development Strategies. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Raw has moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Raw, would you like to speak to this motion?
I'd just like to acknowledge the understanding that this is a long-term plan, hence things aren't dated and things like that. But I think it's great that we think about our two centres, Wynyard and Somerset, and make sure that we're keeping up to date on those centres being good places to be, good places for the public to come to. Yeah, that's all.
Yes, thank you for that. I did get some feedback from my brother who's been visiting from Canada, and he reckoned that Wynyard is one of the loveliest little towns he's visited in his whole life. So for him to say that, I felt quite chuffed. I said yes, and just remember I'm the mayor. But there you go. Didn't make any difference. But are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.5, the cemetery strategy update, a very important strategy that we need to make sure we've got in place for all of us.
So move.
Councillor Courtney has moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to this motion?
I think that the work that has been done is great, and I think it's really important that we're doing something in this area because real estate is prime. So the fact that we've got cemeteries that take up quite an amount of real estate already, and that we've got to look at the longevity of our municipality, burying everybody in our current municipality and everybody to come, certainly it's a good time to look at what we can do about rationalising the areas. So the fact that we're looking at changing to crematorium walls and we're looking at natural burials, and I see at the moment there's a new style that's coming out that's a water burial, and then there's a mushroom coffins that are made out of mushrooms. So there's a lot going on in that area, but I think it's great that we're looking at rationalising our land use, and that part of this.
Courtney for bringing up the mushrooms.
Yeah, and that part of this strategy is looking at rationalising how much land we're going to need.
And there are different ways of burials.
Yeah.
I did note in Saudi Arabia when I visited, people are buried standing up, which it's a much deeper hole, but it's not as big an area. So
No headstone.
no
That
headstones.
means
No headstones. You wouldn't know
Paint
who's
his
there.
face, yeah. Just sticking out the ground.
Anyway, and by the way, they don't use coffins. It's a shroud. So I think that we probably have to even consider our cultural ways of dealing with our burials as well. But thank you for your words. Are there any further speakers to this motion?
I just want to state too, I actually completely agree with Councillor Courtney there about the level and comprehension of the detail in these in this investigation into our cemetery setup. But I also want to point out that it's seeking funding for cemetery conservation works as well. that we're a place that values our history, what we do have of our history, and that we are looking at ways to clean up the cemeteries and also conserve them as well, and also the tree planting and such. We're trying to find that right balance between a nice area for burial and to memorialise someone, but also that they don't encroach on grave sites as well. So great work from everyone involved. It's good to see that we do think of everything from birth through to death at this council, and very comprehensively as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further comments about our cemetery strategy update? If not, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.6, Old Bass Highway Speed Limit Review. We have a recommendation before you, councillors. The council provides a recommendation to the Transport Commissioner seeking to have the speed limit of Old Bass Highway reduced to 60 kilometres an hour throughout its entire length. Could I have a mover for that motion? Councillor Johnson has moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Roberts, Councillor Johnson, you wish to open discussion, debate?
I'm thankful that the consideration of the following point, the key points, that the stats are really lining up. Full growth out there with our coastal pathway. There's a lot of movement, e.g. with the subdivision, housing and that. I'm wrapped in, I'm a big one on the speed limit all around our little roads and even our country roads too. So I'm happy that they're, we've put this forward for recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Brumage.
Thank you. Yeah, look, I'm quite happy to support it, and I'm really pleased it's going to be 60 the whole length of the highway. That's how I understand it. We don't want different speed limits on that short section of road. I think 60 is probably reasonable. As soon as that is getting built up out there around the golf club, the golf links, and that section of road runs very close to our walking track. So it won't hurt the cars to slow down a little bit. And not saying the speed now, but 60 is a good speed, I think. Only take an extra couple of minutes to drive. So I'm more than happy with the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Brumage. Are there any further speakers? Deputy Mayor.
Have some clarification. Is it right along the whole of the Old Bass, or is it just to the sea wall?
Yeah, very near the whole of the length. Yeah.
Well, I've actually look again. When you look out there, actually, at the moment, where the pause place is opposite Bruce's, where we've talked about the bike rack, where the access points are for the gates for the coastal pathway, the fact we've got the whole coastal pathway through there, the fact that it can connect the parks from Anzac Park all the way through to East Wynyard, and the utilisation of that's been excellent already, and also the penguins, and we've had discussions in the workshops in the past about what we potentially can do out there at Doctor's Rocks as well. So I think for everything that's happening out that way, the sub-development next to Seabrook Golf course, it does actually make a lot of sense to make that a lot safer for young people, families, people for recreational purposes and people going to the beach. So makes a lot of sense, and I think that they might come back and tell us we can't do it, but they'll probably most likely, I believe, come back and say that might be quite prudent. So we continue as a council to do great work in this space, and I know that Councillor Bramage for years has championed the speed limits on the outskirts of town and some of our access points, and I think that we're making a safer community. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.7, Cradle Coast Waste Management Group 2025-26 Annual Plan and Budget. There is a recommendation that Council receives this report and notes the ongoing work of the Cradle Coast Waste Management Group. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Sorry,
So moved.
Councillor Courtney.
That's okay. I'm
Oh,
fine.
I'm sorry.
If you didn't notice, no, go with as it is, it's fine.
So, Could I nominate you as seconder?
Yes, that's
Thank you.
fine.
I'm sorry about that. I was not looking in
It's
the
not a
direction.
problem. No.
Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to this motion?
No, not on this motion.
Councillor Raw, do you have anything,
No.
comments?
I think it's succinct and it's great to see what's happening, particularly seeing the markers.
Okay.
Oh.
Yes.
Can I say something?
Well, go right ahead.
Absolutely. I want to say something about this because I get asked this one a lot, actually. I probably get asked more about waste management than just about anything, to be honest, especially with FOGO. Right, so if anyone's listening to this, right, I want to explain about this group, right? So what happens is when our waste management levy cost goes from $0 per metric tonne to, I think it's currently about $27 a metric tonne, $46 a metric tonne, yeah. So when you go from $0 a metric tonne and you go to $46 a metric tonne for waste, how many tonnes do we produce, may I ask?
Through Mayor, prior to FOGO, curbside was about 3,400 tonnes per year, and the transfer station about 2,800 tonnes.
Yeah. So we look at about $2.7 million a year that we'd have to add on to ratepayers to actually pay that. So what happens is, without this waste management group, I can assure people that the difficulties they would have with their waste management would be a lot higher. I'd actually like to credit this group. Also, I'd say that the contract we're on is quite beneficial to our end, and that by working together across the region, that as much as it is a disruption in people's lives, and I do understand it myself because I have to get rid of waste myself and green waste myself and household rubbish myself, that this is actually the best way about it that we could have gone as a council, and the work that is being done is actually improving this space, and also ties in with things like City Mission actually having our waste transfer station and doing quite an excellent job down there. It's been as organised as it's been for years. So again, just another thing, not just this group, but our local council as well, just doing a really great job driving forward in the waste management space. And as a council, we can continue to get better. And I think this group has actually helped us do that. So it cops a lot of flack. So I just thought I'd speak up and explain why we've done this. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts, for explaining and giving us some detail, which will help our community to understand exactly what the costs are. Thank you for that. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, Councillor Bramage, please go right ahead.
Very briefly. I am concerned into the future, in a few years' time, of what the costs will be to people. That is my biggest concern with rubbish. I understand this group's doing the best they can, but I am concerned what's going to happen in another 10 years' time with waste and the price to get rid of it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Are there any further speakers to this motion? And your concerns are noted. Thank you.
Yeah.
If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.8, Policy Review, Australia Day Awards Policy and Guidelines and Australian Citizenships Ceremonies Policy. The recommendation is before you that Council, number 1, adopts the Australia Day Awards Policy Guidelines with immediate effect. Number 2, adopts the Australian Citizenship Ceremonies Policy with immediate effect. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
No move.
Councillor Courtney has moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Raw has. Thank you. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to this motion?
No, well, we thought it was best that we wait and see what happens as part of the work we're doing with our RAP group, that the only changes that are in there are the ones that are determined by the state.
Okay.
So we thought it was better to do that as an inclusive journey to change anything or look at it, rather than do it through a separate process.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Are there any further speakers?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that was going to be my point too in this, that you can see that there'll be some point in the close future that we have to address Australia Day, and I'm glad that the consultation process will be through the RAP. I think that will be a very solid way to go.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, are there any further comments from councillors? If not, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.9, the financial report for the period ended 31st of July 2025. The recommendation is that council notes the financial report for the period ended 31 July 2025. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Roberts has moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Courtney has seconded. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to comment on this report?
I just actually want to thank Mr Smith and the finance team here at Waratah Wynyard Council. They keep us in the black every single year somehow, and I rather enjoy them bragging rights, so please keep it coming, Mr Smith. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further comments about this financial report? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.10, Senior Management Report. The recommendation before you, councillors, is that council notes the Senior Management Report. Could I have a mover for that? Councillor Courtney has moved. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to this report?
Oh, no, but I would like to follow up at some point in time on the fact that there was a discussion about the Tas water pricing, the briefing given. So I would love to hear how that went,
Riveting.
but not tonight.
Through you, Mayor, Tas Water has offered to come to a workshop and I've accepted, so we'll set a date.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
I do suggest you listen very carefully to what they say so that you can ask good questions about that pricing policy. So. Okay, any further comments around this particular one?
Just a clarification question. I just noticed the planning permits approved. I don't know who would answer this, but one particular company getting approval for 39 new dwellings in Wynyard. Is there a time frame around that, or it just seems like a great boost? And I'm just wondering how long the time frame is for those all to be built. Or
Yeah, through you, Mayor, a planning permit has 2 years before it expires.
Right, yeah.
But under that legislation, there are 2 options to seek extension for a further period of 2 years. So in effect, 6 years.
it's an incredible boost, is it not? Or
Is this the second question
no,
for us?
it's not a question at all. It's just rambling.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Are there any further comments, please, on this particular report?
I just want to say again, I appreciate everything our senior management team does. Every time, they're an incredible unit, really. And again, whether it's our surplus in finance, our very well balanced financial management system, and our strategy, our asset utilisation, our asset renewal, it doesn't matter what it is, we are the best at it, bar none. And those are the standards this council should have, and they should never slip. And so the continual improvement and the quality management of this council is elite. And I thank you, and I appreciate that you make us look so competent. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further comments, please? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.11, 9.11.1, notes of the Public Art Advisory Group, 22 July 2025. There's a recommendation that Council receives the notes of the Public Art Advisory Group meeting held on the 22nd of July 2025. Could I have a mover? Councillor Courtney has moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to comment?
I would only hope that they go with the wedge-tail eagle instead of the hen. That's all I would say on that.
Right.
When the visitors come from the mainland, they're quite impressed by the wedge-tail eagles, not so much the hens.
Thank you for your comments. Short and sweet. Okay. Are there any further comments, please?
I just want to say that group's actually pretty awesome. People have seen the junction boxes, they've seen the swing, they've seen a few of these different projects, and they're actually awesome. And Bronwyn Folden from Waratah Wynyard Council deserves a lot of credit for the work she does in general in community, but that group and the people in that group deserve a lot of credit as well. And it really is the members of the public that push those projects as well and decide themselves. So credit them for their great taste. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any further speakers? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. We missed one. 9.11.2, the Waratah Community Board meeting held on Friday, the 25th of July. The recommendation before you, councillors, is that council receives the notes from the Waratah Community Board meeting held Friday, 25 July 2025. Could I, given Councillor Hyland has moved, could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Roberts. Councillor Hyland, would you like to?
Oh, not much at this stage. It's the change, the board has changed and set up, and no doubt there'll be a lot of ongoing discussions. Get it sorted and away we go.
There you go. Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further comments from the floor? If not, I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 10. Matters proposed for consideration in the closed meeting. The recommendation is that the council resolves by an absolute majority that the matters listed below be considered in a closed meeting. I'm going to put the motion. Sorry, I do need a mover. Councillor Roberts.
I'll second that.
And Deputy Mayor seconded. I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Closure of meeting to the public, item 11. Recommendation that the council resolves by an absolute majority to go into the closed meeting to consider the following matters at 7:11 p.m. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Johnson, and seconded Councillor Courtney. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. At this point in time, we will turn the audio.